Pitching is a valuable commodity at any level of play, but when you're a Northern College team that plays back-to-back doubleheaders and mixes in makeup games, it becomes essential. The Lakers have showed they have the depth to be a top team in Division II, as Tom Cleary reports.
When the Lakers blistered Hillsdale 22-0 earlier this month, it was possibly the only time this season Steve Lyons' hitters grabbed the spotlight from the Laker pitching staff. It's been a blazing start to the 2011 season, thanks to a staff that has been consistently brilliant.
Yeah, this is the best, I think, start we've ever had pitching-wise, and one of the reasons is because we're so deep. We're not relying on 2 or 3 guys at the top of the rotation and then keeping our fingers crossed with everybody else. We're legitimately, 7 or 8 deep with guys that are quality pitchers, and they've proven it so far. Through 22 games, they've pitched real well.
The top of the rotation has been headed up this spring by senior right-hander Joe Jablonski. He was unbeaten heading into last weekend and has given his team the innings and leadership Lyon was looking for.
Location, I've been really trying to work my fastball in and out, and my velocity's been down a little bit, so that's helped me a lot. That and throwing my off-speed for strikes, kind of trying to be smarter instead of trying to overpower guys.
Well, we thought Joe would be our leader, and he has been. He was our top pitcher last year, and he's a 5th-year senior. He's one of our captains, so he does all the things that you want a 5th-year senior to do in terms of leadership. And then he takes the ball and goes out on the mound and pitches against the other team's #1 every time. He's 4-0, so I think that speaks for itself in terms of what he's accomplished. And he just sets a tone for the rest of the pitching staff.
And while a lot of people were expecting big things from Joe this year, not much was known about junior college transfer Ryan Garman, who fired a no-hitter April 3rd in Ohio against Ashland, winning 7-0 thanks to 8 strikeouts.
And I realized it around the 4th inning. I looked up, sitting in the dugout, I looked up and I realized that there's a bunch of circles up there on the board, and I didn't want it to really get to me at all. So my catcher, Zach Lopp, did a great job, came up to me. Didn't say anything about it. We just got on the same page, took the game 1 pitch at a time. So just kind of dialed in.
He had command. I think as the game went on, he got stronger. It seemed like the 3rd or 4th inning, he finally got real loose. It's one of those cold days, like you mentioned, and his breaking pitch is an outstanding plus pitch for him, and he had command of it. And by the end of the game, I think in the 7th inning, he was probably throwing better than he did in the 1st inning. So he kind of smelled it a little bit at the end. You want your starters to want to finish. And in this case, we had a comfortable lead, and maybe normally we get him out and let somebody else finish, but it's pretty hard to take a guy out with a no-hitter going, so we let him finish it, and thank God he did, and very happy for him.
That Garman ever found his way to Allendale is a story almost as good as his no-hit game. A native of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, his career was in peril after back surgery interrupted his junior college days in Kansas. But Lyon kept tabs on Ryan and was able to land him after a number of schools backed off following his health woes. In addition to Garman and Jablonski, the Lakers' pitching depth tells the story of their year to date. After 22 games, a total of 7 hurlers had ERAs of 2.25 or less, a figure that's unheard of in the college game. Lefty Bill Maple didn't give up an earned run in his first 5 games, and starter Kyle Scapel won 4 of his first 5 starts while giving up less than 1 earned run over that stretch.
Yeah, Kyle Scapel's our #2 guy, usually on a weekend, and he pitched an outstanding game and beat their #2 guy, who actually their #1 guy was back in the rotation against Ashland, and beat him 2-1 through a great game. I think he's 4-0 also. He's pitched very well for us. Our 4th starter on the weekend is Chris Whitney, another new guy into our program, a junior college transfer who's not as overpowering maybe as our other pitchers, but just a strike thrower, and just gets a lot of ground balls, and we play good defense behind him. And our 5th and 6th guys, whoever they end up being, have done a great job. Billy Maple, Cody Westerheis, Corey Rademacher, all those guys have been pitching very well for us. So, like I said, 7 or 8 deep is a nice luxury to have as a head coach.
Though Jablonski and Garman took different paths to get to Grand Valley, they both arrived at just the right time to take advantage of the Laker turf building, where they've taken part in off-season workouts there that are a critical element of Lyons' program.
When we used to practice in the arena, it was tough to get long toss and everything in like that, and for the hitters to get good swings in the cages, the lighting in there was not even close to how this is. And we were actually, a couple of guys were talking the other day, if we try to go back to the arena from here, it would be tough, because we've been a little spoiled being able to use this.
Grand Valley didn't have a great long ball threat during its season-opening 20-2 stretch, but during that time, 8 hitters were at 300 or better, including standout Cody Grice, who had 26 hits and a .394 average. And while the offensive highlight was that 22-run outburst against Hillsdale April 5th, Steve Lyon and his pitchers will point out that was still a game in which pitcher Chris Whitney threw a 3-hit shutout. And while 22-run games may be few and far between, performances like Whitney's will likely be seen again before the year is out. For the Grand Valley State Sports Report, I'm Tom Cleary.